Welcome to today's special episode, Blind to the Future, the psychology behind Oceangate exposed. Humans have a poor ability to perceive long-term risk. Imagine if smoking a single cigarette would result in immediate death the next day. The consequence is immediate and severe, so hardly anyone would take the risk. But since the harmful effects of smoking manifest over decades, many individuals struggle to relate to the long-term risk. The disaster of the Titan submarine shares an uncanny parallel with this phenomenon. In psychology, this is a phenomenon known as temporal discounting. This phenomenon involves the tendency of individuals to favor rewards that are more immediate over those that are farther in the future. This is not just impatience, it's a fundamental devaluation of future events and consequences. When applied to decision-making in high-stakes environments like deep-sea exploration, temporal discounting can cause individuals to focus on short-term gains such as data collection and discovery, while neglecting the long-term risks to equipment and human life. As the Titan submersible program developed, optimism bias played a significant role in the attitudes of the team. We are all guilty of optimism bias in our everyday lives. When we get in a car, we do not think we will be involved in a car accident. This is an event that happens to other people. While statistics and studies vary considerably, over the course of an average driving lifetime, we can expect to be involved in around 3 to 4 accidents. Optimism bias is not just a simple belief that things will go well. It's a systematic error in thinking where individuals believe that they are less likely to experience negative events compared to others. It arises from our natural tendency to overestimate the probability of positive events and underestimate the probability of negative events in our lives. In the context of the Titan, this meant that the team believed that their venture was somehow insulated from the kinds of problems and dangers that other similar expeditions might face. This cognitive bias can create a sense of invincibility, which in turn can lead to insufficient caution and preparation. Let's move on to the next fatal phenomenon, groupthink. Groupthink is a complex psychological phenomenon where the desire for harmony or conformity in the group results in an irrational or dysfunctional decision-making outcome. Individuals might self-censor or withhold criticisms, and the group might ignore realistic alternatives. Groupthink is particularly prevalent in highly cohesive groups and can be exacerbated by isolation, a strong leader, and high stress, all of which were likely present aboard the Titan. This can lead to excessively optimistic risk assessments, lack of contingency plans, and ignoring warning signs. With groupthink forming a base, social proof came into play. Social proof is a psychological phenomenon where people look to the actions and behaviors of others to guide their own, especially in uncertain or ambiguous situations. It is the everyone else is doing it, so it must be correct kind of thinking. In the context of the Titan, if one or two influential members of the team expressed confidence in a certain course of action, others might have followed along under the assumption that the majority's confidence was based on solid reasoning, even if they had personal doubts. Simultaneously, the risky shift phenomenon emerged. This entails the tendency of a group to make decisions that are riskier than those that individual members would make independently. This shift can occur when the shared responsibility within a group makes individuals feel less personally accountable for the consequences of their actions. The collective setting of the Titan could have led to an escalation in risk-taking as individuals grew more daring and bolder in the decisions they advocated for. With Oceangate, this manifested as a decision to fire the Director of Marine Operations, David Lockridge, after he presented a scathing quality control report on the vessel to Oceangate's senior management, including founder and CEO Stockton Rush, who sadly perished in the disaster. Think about a time when you might have taken someone's advice just because they were in a position of authority, like following a fitness regimen because a celebrity endorsed it. That's authority bias. Authority bias is the tendency to attribute greater accuracy and credibility to the opinions of an authority figure and be more influenced by their opinions. This can occur irrespective of their actual expertise in a particular area. On the Titan, if someone with perceived authority made a statement or decision, others might have deferred to this judgment without sufficient scrutiny. Picture yourself driving slightly above the speed limit every day because everyone does it, and it becomes the new normal. That's normalization of deviance. In the context of the Titan, Small safety breaches or procedural shortcuts might have been rationalized and gradually accepted as normal, even though they were initially considered exceptions or violations. This can lead to a culture where risks and deviations from standard procedure are no longer perceived as dangerous, which in turn increases the likelihood of catastrophic outcomes. In the case of Titan, innovation bias was another pivotal psychological factor. Innovation bias is the inclination to believe that newer technologies or strategies are inherently better than older ones. This often results in an over-reliance on untested solutions. This could have fostered an overconfidence in the submersible's capabilities. Rather than proceeding with caution, the team might have pushed the technology to its limits, incorrectly believing that innovation alone would protect them from disaster. A lurking psychological discomfort known as cognitive dissonance might also have influenced the team. Cognitive dissonance is the mental stress or discomfort experienced by an individual who holds two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or perceptions at the same time. As the project progressed, team members may have started to notice discrepancies between what they believed about the mission and the reality they were experiencing. To reduce this discomfort, they might have rationalized away any doubts or warning signs to maintain their initial enthusiasm and commitment. Within this maelstrom of psychological factors, sensation-seeking played a role. Sensation-seeking is a trait that drives individuals to seek out novel and intense experiences, even at the risk of physical or psychological harm. For some aboard the Titan, the thrill of exploring uncharted depths might have overridden caution. The allure of being the first to see or discover something might have been so intoxicating that it clouded judgment. As the psychological waters grew murkier, the illusion of control was at play. This cognitive bias makes individuals overestimate their ability to control events. The illusion of control bias, a term first coined by psychologist Ellen Langer, is a tendency for people to believe they have more control over outcomes than they actually do. For example, gamblers are known to throw dice harder when hoping for high numbers. The crew aboard the Titan, with their advanced technology and expertise, might have believed they had the ability to control or manage any situation that arose. This illusion can be particularly potent when dealing with complex systems like deep-sea submersibles, where the interaction of so many variables makes outcomes unpredictable. Another factor contributing to the unfolding disaster was competency overestimation. This is when individuals overestimate their skills and abilities. In the high-pressure, high-stakes environment of Oceangate, overestimating one's competency could have led to critical errors. This overconfidence might have caused individuals to take on tasks beyond their skill level, or fail to seek help when needed. Finally, as the Titan faced increasing difficulties, the escalation of commitment set in. This psychological phenomenon is when an individual or group continues to invest time, resources, or effort into a failing course of action, simply because they have already invested so much. The crew of the Titan, having committed so much to the mission, might have been unwilling to accept that it was going awry. They might have pushed harder and taken greater risks in a desperate attempt to force a positive outcome. The story of the Titan submersible is a plethora of human errors. By understanding the psychology behind the mistakes, we can learn from them. In the aftermath of this disaster, it will almost certainly be possible to pin the blame on a specific engineering fault. Hopefully this video has helped you to understand that a number of preventable human errors set the wheels in motion years before arriving at this fatal conclusion. While most of us are not marine engineers, the psychology behind the human errors in this video can be considered in our everyday lives. We must ensure that the lives lost on the Titan were not lost in vain. This is now our third chance to not repeat history.